they announced that Ed Sheeran had won his infringement lawsuit. And there was a lot of buzz in the songwriting world about that case. The idea of someone stealing our songs is not something that Clay and I go around thinking about. Yeah. So the topic today, so I don't know when you're listening to this out there on the web, but today they announced that Ed Sheeran had won his infringement lawsuit. So he did not copy the Marvin Gaye song in question. And there was a lot of buzz in the songwriting world about that case. And Ed had said that he was going to quit music if he lost this case, because there's no way to, if he said, if I can't do what I did, then there's no way to write a song that's not copyright infringement. So, and that's a topic that we have people ask questions about a lot in SongTown. So I want us just to talk about that. First of all, I want to say that's the idea of someone stealing our songs is not something that Clay and I go around thinking about at all. It's it's not a, for some people, it seems like it's a daily concern that they're worried about this kind of thing. And Clay and I have done this for a combined 50 plus years, and it just hasn't been an issue, in our experience. The people that we run across don't want to copy other people's material, so it's not like they're out there, just trying to find, someone to steal a song from, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Ed Sheeran thing was very interesting because when I read the complaint against him, it talked about the chords and the vibe. And I'm not, a copyright lawyer, but we know from our years in the business that a copyright for a song is the lyrics and the melody. So nowhere does it say chords and vibes. So I don't even know how was that even brought before a judge and not thrown out, And I think part of it is because juries don't know. They're not musicians. So when you say to some people, oh, that, song's stolen, they go, well, the beat kind of sounds similar, and it's like, they don't know that that's not part of copyright. So it was really scary. But, the other side of it, Marty, is artists have gotten really good at copying vibe. They've gotten very good. Marvin Gaye was not copying a vibe off of someone that came before him. He pretty much created, his sound. So I think a lot of times I just wonder if this is a logical consequence of artists getting so good at copying vibes. If Ed Sheeran had not copied that vibe and had come up with something totally original in vibe, then there would not have been a lawsuit. So I see both sides of it. I go, okay, well, you can only copyright lyrics and melody, so that should have never been brought. But I think sometimes as writers, we need to learn to not just go for, shooting for something that's gone before and try to create something totally new and original. And I think that we've lost a lot of that. A great jazz guitar player, Pat Metheny, said, he noticed that even in the jazz music world, up until the 70s, people strove hard to have their own sound. And he goes, in the 80s, it became cool to sound like somebody else. And I think just in culture in general, it sounds cool if you can copy a vibe, if you can sound like someone else. And I think that I think it's going to change. I think because now AI is able to copy any sound and do it much better than we can as a human. I think it's going to be I'm hopeful that it's going to push us all in the direction of being more original. I know I got off on a tangent, but I think
you got a little all this soapbox there.
Yeah, I mean, all of this stuff is in the forefront. And I really think that, I've read so much. I was on a writing session the other day and somebody brought up a demo and they go, hey, listen to this. And they go, recognize that voice. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's Kanye West. And they were like, yeah, they like, I took my reference vocal and fed it into this program and then put it on my track. And now I have Kanye singing my demo. And
Oh, wow.
it sounded great, you know?
That's
So
crazy.
it's opening, I think it opens up a whole lot of this, like, okay, so now if a computer can do something perfect and sound like somebody else, then the only thing left is to write better songs and be original. That's the only
Yeah.
thing we have left, is to be original, because AI is not going to take us into, they're not going to create that next Beatles. They're going to create something that sounds like what's fed into it.
Right. Well, one thing I encourage people to think about in regard, if if they're worried that people are going to take their stuff, is that, you know, very little of our thoughts and our music are completely original. But there's a lot of misperceptions about it too. So, for instance, you can't copyright a title. So, in some of the lessons that we teach in Songtown, I'll tell people where I find a lot of titles. So they're looking in the same place I'm looking. So we're going to be writing some of the same titles. And my first publisher always told me, write it so good they can't steal it.
Yeah.
His thought was, if you write it so good that they can't make it any better, then no one's even going to try to make it any better. And so that idea helps me go, you know what, we're all writing songs, we're all looking for ideas in the same places. There's going to be some overlap, there's going to be some things where it feels like, wow, that's really similar to my music, but that can steal your creativity. And I encourage people just to not worry about that stuff and just worry about writing the best song you can write every day, and to write that song so well that it would be hard for anybody to copy any part of it and improve it, without just taking it as is.
Yeah. And for me, man, I've always, the only way to totally protect yourself from your song being stolen is to write it and keep it in your basement and never let the world hear it. So
Yeah.
for us, and we have to go out and play our songs in public, at shows. We have to play our songs for producers, for record people, to try to get those artists to record the song. But for me, the comforting thought was 99% of the people out there are just like me. They want the world to hear their own ideas. They don't want to steal an idea from somebody else and put that out. They want the world to hear their thoughts and their feelings and their heartache and their joys, just like you do.
Hmm.
You're not out there stealing songs because you want the world to hear your song. Well,
Right.
99.9% of the people feel the same way that are having hits. And I can't say of an instance, and I've been doing this a long time, Marty, where I played a song for someone and then I go, oh, I heard it on the radio and they stole that from me, you know?
Hmm.
But I have had instances. One time my publisher, I go into my office and give him a new song I wrote that day. He's like, wow, what a great title. He gets a call while I'm sitting there in his office from another publisher across town who goes, man, my writer just turned in a song with this amazing title. And it was the same title I had written that same
Yeah.
day. And both
Uh-huh.
publishers thought they had this, amazing title. And they didn't know what I was writing. I didn't know what they were writing. But it's just out there. So it's like you said, people are going to come up with the same ideas and the same melodies and the same, so just keep your head down, write, and enjoy your creativity.
Yeah. There was a time in my career where I pitched a song to an artist, and then on that artist's next record, they had a song with the same title, and I'm like, oh wow, they cut my song and I didn't know about it, and I listened to it and it was not my song, but it was exactly the same idea. And I went to my publisher and I was complaining about it. Like, makes me wonder if they heard my demo and then they just went and rewrote it a different way. And he said, where did you get that idea? And I said, well, it's a quote from so and so that I saw online. He goes, not your idea. He's
Yeah.
like, if you're looking at it that way, you stole that idea from that person, in the quote. And I thought that was a great point. It's like, unless something is a completely original thought that we didn't get from some other source, we don't have claim on it anyway. And other people are going to be reading it. And, so best practice is just to not worry about that stuff and to move on and try to write better every day. All right, we want to thank our sponsor, Sweetwater, who powers this podcast. We've got tons of gear. If you can see behind Clay, that's all his gear he's gotten from Sweetwater. We appreciate them. Check out our show notes for links to our books, to SongTown itself. We have a great worldwide community of songwriters that encourage each other and help each other learn to write better.
And we'll see you next week.
Cheers.